I know I saw his email profile picture earlier and I thought that was taken a while ago. It made me think of Gavin and Stacey, where they're trying to arrange a threesome. She's like, he said, we don't look like our pictures. Have I really changed so much in 15 years?
If my email picture is the one I'm thinking of, then yes, it's probably from 2008. So.
It looks a bit university-ish. Well, you look like you go online and tell girls that you're 11 teen.
I'd like to say for the record, but I do not do that.
You look like you tell people every chance you get age is just a number.
Yes, again, on the basis we're recording this, I'd like to state for the record, I do not do that.
Well, it's fine though. It's fine because today we're going to go to a place
it isn't fine, Chris.
It is. We're going to go to a place today where age doesn't matter because you never grow up. And we're going to talk about Disney.
There's a problem with Neverland and all.
Yeah. One of those three, never growing up, is very different to the other two. I'll leave you to decide which one. Hello, welcome back to Think Tankards. This is a podcast where two stand-up comedians and myself discuss history, weird topics, and pop culture. And today we're going to talk about Disney adults. My name's Chris.
My name's Ian.
My name's Nathan.
Now, lads, this is a Chris episode, naturally. So as we've come to expect with Chris episodes, it's full to the brim, like Ian had to be to get on the stand. We are going to talk about Disney adults today. However, I want to say from the top of the episode, they are a strange bunch. The more extreme sides of it. Nathan's been replaced by a cat.
Sorry, I'm a bit distracted by what's going on with Nathan.
This cat, she's got no boundaries, man. She's got no boundaries. Before we start, though, Ian, what do you have in your tankard today?
What? Same drink I have every night, Pinky. Foster's.
Lovely. I have got a Newcastle Brown Ale, nice and cold, from the fridge. Chris, what have you got?
I have got water in my Tata Communications Formula One cup.
Your sippy cup.
My sippy cup, yes. I did have a coffee earlier. I had some kombucha earlier. Didn't care for it. It's
horrible.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not
Love
keen.
kimchi. Don't like kombucha. I don't know if they're made the same way. I don't think they are. I think one's cabbage, one's tea. Anyway, welcome back to Think Tankards. Today we're talking about Disney adults. Now, as I was trying to say before Nathan's cat interrupted us and forced me to edit all of that out, this episode, I will say from the start, they are a strange bunch of people. The extremes are very strange, and there's no getting away from that. Some of these people are fucking lunatics, and some of them, as Chris Rock would say, just missed a few cuddles, I think. But we are going to talk about what Disney adults are, why they are a phenomenon, some of the hallmarks of this behavior. But I'm going to avoid kind of just picking out individual examples of people. I'll talk broadly about it, but I'm studying this more from a sociological, anthropological point of view. Like, if the human race makes it, a few more thousand years, and they dig up a Disney pin, that's the kind of level that I'm like, why did they do these things? What was going on there? So that's the level we're going to keep it at. But I will mention, and I'm going to immediately contradict myself, I've got very close examples, like people I used to be friends with, who are absolutely fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for Disneyland, to the point where I'm not friends with them anymore. But I was informed recently that they have spent several tens of thousands of pounds on a Disney timeshare, for example. And I know for a fact they don't make that much money. So we'll get there. Ian, you tend to be the person in the room that doesn't quite gel with some of the weird shit that me and Nathan seem to be chronically online about. What do you know about Disney adults? What's your understanding of them?
Yeah, what, we've been raised better. I suppose it was a case
when you're right, you're right.
I suppose now. So Disney and its animated feature film output was something myself and my siblings very well aware of growing up. We were all born in the mid to late 80s, therefore we were the perfect age for the Disney Renaissance. At the same time, Disney were releasing their animated classics on video, So the video shop that I talked about in previous episodes, we'd rent from there. We had them on rotation. I think most all of our VHSs in the 90s were Disney films, with like the odd exception of The Sound of Music, because it was like Mum's favourite film. So I was very well aware of Disney films growing up. As soon as I left school, like within 2 or 3 weeks of me turning 18, when we were in LA, we did go to Disneyland there as well. So I was technically an adult when I went to Disneyland, but only just. So
Okay.
I've
So
not been to a Disney resort since.
So the answer to my question was no. You obviously don't have much experience with Disney adults. I didn't ask about you.
My best friend from uni, I could probably call a Disney adult because
there we go. That's what we want to hear about. Tell us about this person.
He turned 40 in May, but he delayed his celebrations to the back half of August when a lot of sensible people are going to the Edinburgh Fringe. Instead, he's decided to take himself, his wife, and his 2 daughters. So he does have at least the pretense of having a wife and children there. But he and his family have, I know for a fact, have gone to Disney World multiple times when he has been over the age of 18 and without having a wife and children. So I'd say he is very much a Disney adult.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Why don't at the end of this you get an informed guess about whether you think your friend classifies as what level of Disney adult they would be based on this. Nathan, what is your experience with Disney adults? Would you classify yourself as a Disney adult?
No, I would say I'm Disney adult adjacent because I am a roller coaster and theme park enthusiast. So I would say that I have had a lot of experience with Disney adults. I know some of them personally. I've been to the Disney theme parks as an adult, but I have kids. I took my daughter a couple of years ago to Disneyland Paris, but it was also a treat for me with it being a theme park, and it is an incredibly immersive experience, especially Disney Paris. It is known as the most beautiful of all the Disney parks. It is lovely.
Is that an ironic description?
No, genuinely not. No, I know sometimes in the photos it looks very cloudy because it's in France. But it is beautiful. The castle is the best castle out of all the castles that are there. There is something wonderful about Disney. It's wonderful about the rides and how they create the rides. They have a whole engineering departments called the Imagineers, who are these very, very, very talented people who basically come up with loads of weird and whimsical ways of creating new illusions and new ways to get you involved and immersed in everything. It's going way, way, way back to when the Haunted Mansion or Phantom Manor in Disneyland was created, and they created the sense of a hologram through lights and mirrors and things like that back in like fucking years and years ago, decades ago. So they're always well above their time. I have huge appreciation for the Disney parks. I just wouldn't spend tens of thousands of pounds to always go out to one, and I don't want to queue up to get fucking some bloke dressed as Stitch to scribble on a piece of paper with his big fucking hands. I don't understand that. I want to go on the rides. That's what I want to do. I like rides. But Disney adults, I do know things about them, and they're fucking weird. But we all are. So.
So, setting the stage for this episode, perhaps I should have done before these 2 fuckers just started trauma dumping on me. What the term means for Disney adult, and what we're going to be talking about in this episode, is a very particular type of person. And there is one book on the subject, like one mainstream book on the subject, by A.J. Wolf.
Sounds like a Disney character.
From her definition of this, is Disney adults are grown-ups who derive a singular, almost obsessive joy from all things Disney. They devote countless hours and millions of dollars to Disney offerings, whether or not they have children. They can be fans of the films. They can be singularly devoted to the parks. They can collect merchandise. They can just be cosplayers. Like, there are different strands of Disney adult. But AJ Wolf herself goes a little bit narrower with this definition. And she says Disney adults are people who interface intentionally with Disney products and experiences. The people who willingly choose Disney regularly. And the operative word there is intentionally. But for example, Ian going with your family, going with friends, like once a year, fine. Nathan going enjoying the rides, and fine. Structuring your entire year around the visits is where it becomes different. Then you've got the internet's definition of a Disney adult, which is a little bit more hostile. So that was the definition given by the community themselves, if you can call it community. It's a civil war, by the way. I will get to that in a bit. It is a civil war.
I know.
Know Your Meme lists it as a slang term against adults obsessed with Disney and its products to the point where they treat it less like a company and more like a lifestyle and an identity. And crucially, as I've mentioned, this is defined by behavior, not age. And having kids doesn't exempt you. Sorry, Ian's friend.
Or indeed Nathan.
Or indeed Nathan. It's not your age, it's not any particular demographic. It's how much of your life is dedicated to the mouse, right? So let's acknowledge the main source on this. Surprisingly, the New Yorker cropped up a lot in my research. They got a lot of mileage out of this one. But my main source is Disney Adults Exploring, parentheses, and Falling in Love With, close parentheses, a Magical Subculture by A.J. Wolf. Now, this book has its flaws because it is written by a Disney adult, a self-confessed Disney adult. It is a primary source on the subject, but one reviewer, and this is, my research game's strong when I'm reading Goodreads reviews, a Goodreads reviewer described it as 30% fluff, 50% impassioned defense of adult liking things that are cringe, and 20% getting close to what is unsettling about the phenomenon without naming it. This same reviewer also called this book a compassionately rendered portrait and an apex example of a fan-studied book written for the fans. And another reviewer just said, this reads like a cult document. Now, A.J. Wolf is a Disney adult who defends Disney to the hilt, but she accumulated a sizable chunk of debt and runs a Disney food blog. Like, that's kind of like their best soldier, if you will.
Right.
So let's play a little bit of fun game. And remember, we're not picking on people specifically, but throw out some stereotypes about a Disney adult. We've already mentioned some, but what do we think? What stereotypes? That is one. Of course, quite an interesting one. I looked into that. I was like, are all Disney adults fat? Because you've got there's things that are called like the Disney rash, which is obese people getting rash on their legs and stuff from walking around because they're not used to it. Then you've got the account. Yeah, Ian, there's accounts on social media called the plus size park hoppers, which is essentially a group of very obese people who review Disney parks and food and rides to see whether you can fit on it as an obese person. Fat, okay. Has a Disney tattoo. Sweaty, yeah. Let's move away from the fat thing. Let's move away from that.
I don't know what's a word to encapsulate, but someone who is regaled with like Disney merchandise.
Massive amounts of merchandise.
Massive.
Yeah, that's good. So tattoos, for example, a Disney tattoo, sometimes a Disney sleeve. That's quite a common stereotype you see
of Disney tattoos.
I mean, I wouldn't mind a Disney tattoo. I would probably get one for my patchwork sleeve. I'd just
Kingdom
get
Hearts type shit. Yeah.
No, like Judy Hopps, but like Judy Hopps X Goatsy.
Goatsy Judy Hopps.
Goatsy Judy Hopps, just spreading her fucking cheeks. That's what I'd get.
Oh, not like the demon from Fantasia.
No. Do you know who my favorite Disney character is, right? My favorite Disney character, and it's only a very small part. It's on Beauty and the Beast. And it is when everyone's breaking into the castle and there is a wardrobe that's hiding behind the door with a baseball bat, just ready to fucking clock someone. That's my favorite Disney character. The rest of them are like fighting as teapots and like things like that, just using everything. This wardrobe is ready for fucking war. So I reckon I would get the wardrobe with a baseball bat as a tattoo.
Fair
Okay.
enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
The general caricature of a Disney adult, they're either female or a gay man. Like that's the mockery goes both ways. That they're generally millennials in their 30s. They're childless. They're either proud of it, or defensive about it. Whatever. They normally wear Mickey Mouse ears in their 30s. They dress in character colors called Disney bounding, which is something we're going to cover. They usually have very specific merchandise, like Loungefly backpacks, spirit jerseys, the ears, like I've talked about. They've either got engaged or got married in the park. They had receptions there. They have unbounded consumerism. They count the amount of visits they've had to the park, the amount of money they've spent there, which goes on to the next bit. In debt, a lot is something you associate with Disney adults generally. Anecdotally, like I mentioned, I know someone I used to be friends with, and I know they aren't earning a massive amount, but they've recently spent around 26 grand on a Disney timeshare, which is something that goes crazy. And I discovered that when you buy a Disney timeshare, you buy points and you have to pay annual dues. So it's mental.
Who are
the
annual dues? What are their names?
Well, we can't talk about it because
Herschel.
the Luigi Mangione trial is going on, so we probably shouldn't talk too much about wealthy CEOs at the moment. So timeshare, the Disney timeshares. So there's a lot of debt that gets accumulated around Disney visits. There's people who say they take on debt to go to Disney. There's also people who say that psychologically Disney is treated as separate to all other kind of money. It's not real money if it's Disney. And I was looking into the point system. So you buy points for the year for the Disney timeshare, and you might say buy 150 points. And then a modest room could be 15 points a night. But if you get a nice room, it could be 60 points a night. So you can blow through your allowance, but then you've got to pay your annual dues on top of that. Even if you don't use your points, you've still got to pay that annual charge. That's where the money kind of, adds up quite quickly. So you've got people who are paying like above the UK minimum wage yearly just for the holiday, which is just, they've stripped away a lot of the perks from that as well. So it's actively getting worse to be a Disney adult because you're not getting as much out of it anymore.
Timeshares didn't make your schemes episode, did they?
They didn't, but they have cropped up a lot here.
Yeah.
Timeshares have cropped up a lot here. And as I was reading it, I was like, this doesn't sound very nice at all.
No.
Like, what the fuck's going on? It's just, it's wild.
It makes me... South Park did an episode on timeshares in Aspen.
Yes. I did see that. We also have some people who want to have their ashes scattered in Disney, which, as we'll discuss towards the end of the episode, that's actually more of a problem for Disney than you'd think.
Now, I have actually said to my daughter, when she asked what I want to happen to me when I die, I said that I want my remains spread around Disneyland Paris, but I don't want to be cremated.
Do it specifically around one of the roller coasters.
No, I want it around the wishing well, just like all my limbs and stuff, like everywhere.
Just do it during Fright Night as well. You won't get cleaned up till Christmas.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's just good theming, isn't it?
Well, they've just done all the Halloween stuff. They've just started. Now it's middle August while we're recording this. Disney have just done their switch over to Halloween, which I now know, just like Jesus Christ, I've taken on the burden of sin for this podcast by learning all about Disney and Disney adults. And I've done that so that you may gain from it. I'm not saying start a religion in my name, but I'm not saying don't do that either. The thing I found is that I couldn't actually find any stereotype that wasn't really true in some way or other. That it wasn't like really heavily evidenced, which I do find quite interesting. But one of the things that differentiates Disney tourists from other kinds of tourists is that do you know with normal tourism, it's based on you go somewhere new, you still have a new experience, you go and do new things. Disney tourism is very different. It's based on repetition. The entire point is return to these places time and time again. It's sometimes it's not even about like the rides, like you know, with Nathan's flavor of autism, it'd be about going to try a new roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of Disney adults and a lot of experiences, it's just relive the same thing again and again. And that's where the second part comes in, that the expertise of being a Disney adult, and AJ Wolf calls it being a Disney elder in the community. They have a name for it. Expertise is your currency. So it's experiencing things in the right way multiple times makes you an expert in Disney. So this is things like a knowledge of ride history. Menu items is a massive thing. I've linked you to the Disney food blog. Crowd calendars, closure schedules, merchandise schedules, route planning through the park, when to go here, when to do this. And recently there's been an online phenomena with a girl who's been stalking Peter Pan, regardless of who plays him.
I've seen
for
this.
over 10 years. So that's making the rounds at the moment. Her account is just her going to Disney every week and harassing Peter Pan every week. And that's the entire account. So that's her expertise.
Different Peter Pan. Multiple different Peter Pan have been harassed by this lady, and they've all been making statements to say, like, yeah, she's fucking weird. And yeah, she is weird. Yeah, I've been watching some videos on it. She's not well.
Married
Why
as well.
Peter Pan? Married?
I don't know.
A child.
She's a married woman. She's a married woman as well. Married woman. It's crazy. 2016 it started. That's the point. It's that repetition and that expertise that would make her like a Disney elder, according to AJ Wolf. We've got repetition as tourism. That's one of their pillars. Expertise by this repetition is another foundation of it. Acquisition is a third pillar. Buying things from Disney isn't just like an incidental part of the hobby. It's one of the core pillars of it. Collections are proof of your commitment to the mouse, essentially, right? Collections are you building the altar to Disney of like your pins, your popcorn buckets, your shirts, your outfits, like all of this, like, and that's a big part of this fandom.
Well, it's not just those things either, because I don't know if you've ever been to a Disney park, Chris, but there's shops everywhere, right? Everywhere there are different shops, and they sell everything. You could kit your entire house with everything Disney. They have like bowls, plates, they have dressers, they have so many ornaments, like it's fucking ridiculous the amounts of different ornaments you can get. Christmas decorations, like there was a really good Christmas decoration shop inside the castle in Disneyland Paris, and it's there all year round. It's open. You can buy like class little Christmas decorations from there. So we've got a couple for our tree. Lamps, fucking curtains, everything. You could kit your whole house out, Disney, just from a visit to the park. It's nuts.
That is nuts, because that's another thing as well, is that like Disney, they lean into this shit. They really do like lean right into this. Like Disney adults are fully accepted and encouraged by Disney. Like they want this.
It makes all the sense in the world, though, doesn't it? Because you've got diehard fans of the brand who will pay an obscene amount of money for what you're offering them. Therefore, it's not something that's personally responsible to do, but from a capitalist point of view, it's like, yeah, come back as often as you want. Get into debts to buy our shit and harass our workers.
I like money.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because up to now, I think there's 3 different types of Disney credit card. They do Disney finance for timeshares and stuff like that. Like they are, and they want you to keep within that ecosystem. And that's
the
the
red
last of the
flags
four
coming
pillars of
up
being
to that.
in it, yeah. And like one of the last pillars I'd probably say of being a Disney adult is this life events being rooted in. And you know, I talked about structuring your year around visiting Disney is a big hallmark. But like engagements, weddings, anniversaries, pregnancy announcements, memorials, including I can't wait to talk about that. But like Disney want you there doing this shit at their venue,
Yeah.
and there's the vocabulary that goes along with it. But then sometimes it's not really rewarded. Like, have you seen that video clip, Nathan? I bet you have. Of a man and a woman a man proposes to a woman at Disney, and the employee at the Disney park doesn't understand that they had approval to do it, and he just bowls through them and he takes the ring off the bloke and then tells them to get the fuck out.
Yeah, I
Like
think
off
so. I
the,
think I
they're up
have
on a
seen
podium.
that.
They're up on like a
Yeah.
podium in front of the castle, and the bloke kneels down, and the guy in the fucking Mickey hat just like scooches through, and he's like, "Go!" And apparently he got sacked after that.
No, yeah.
Disney, in the broad, Disney encourages this behavior, is that they want you to do these things at the park because, as Ian said, like, you know, come on in. You know, the ride never, Mr. Bones' Wild Ride never stops.
Yeah. It does when it breaks down, when it's
So,
raining.
shall we talk? In fact, no, let me play my favourite
No,
game with you
let's
guys.
not.
Let me, all right, catch us next week. Let's play our favourite game. When did the term Disney adult first appear?
I would say it was 2019,
Okay.
just
Very
before COVID,
close.
or maybe
Yes,
during
very
COVID it
close.
was, because I know that there was a distinct increase of YouTube creators being obsessed with these parks. COVID did a lot for this. We couldn't go out. We couldn't go to these parks. This was the first time that Disney parks were closed during COVID in all of the history. So all these people started basically coming out of the woodwork, and they were desperate to get their fix. That they were then watching all of these YouTubers, and these YouTubers got bigger and bigger, and it suddenly became more of a phenomenon than anything. That is my educated guess. I would say I'm going to change it to 2020.
You are scalding hot.
2018.
Fucking right. Ian got it.
Bastard.
It's the stand all over again.
Just scoops in and takes all the glory.
He's talking about the stand
Yeah.
again.
We are going to beep him every time he talks about the stand. For those who don't know, the stand is a comedy club in Newcastle. Ian recently got on. He blew the roof off. He was great. And we haven't heard anything since. Ian is a stand adult. He has based his entire personality over the stand. He's got the stand on his t-shirts now. He's obsessed with it.
He brings a little toy microphone stand whenever we meet him in person. Like
He
it's
does.
his Mickey is.
Is it
Yeah.
this?
What's
No.
what
I mean,
is
it's an
that?
actual microphone, but yeah.
God. Ian is right. Yes. Ian, do you know when? Was it a guess? Do you know anything about this? Yeah. No. Was it a guess?
No, I was going to go for the 90s, but when you said to Nathan, you're really close with 2019, it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, the first recorded instance of it was 2018 when it was used by what we would classify now as a Disney Adults blog. It was their own blog. They referred to Disney Adults. It was called like Pixies and Polka or something like that was the blog when I was looking.
Again,
However,
red flags.
Just like everything else, it didn't really pick up 2020 when a Reddit post entitled Disney Adults Are the Worst was published. So it first appeared in 2018, and that was the first recorded use of the phrase. Then there was a viral Facebook post, according to the Rolling Stone, a Facebook post in 2019 that didn't use it by name, but a mother was quite annoyed. She accused childless visitors of depriving her children of like Mickey pretzels and stuff like that. And she
Mhm.
called them entitled, childless Disney millennials, which became a bit of a meme. And that made the New York Post, who ran the headline, "Sorry, childless millennials going to Disney is weird," followed in 2020 by the Reddit post, which called them Disney adults for the first time in the denigrating way that we would know it as now. And it spread because of COVID in pretty much the same way that OK Boomer did. It became like an insult that could be attached to anything related to Disney. And then in 2022, one Instagram post, for some reason, in Rolling Stone, they ran an article about this. One Instagram post applied Disney adult syndrome to the Johnny Depp trial. So they made that link there, which was
What?
that was a bit of yeah. They that was the call. Like, it's that juxtaposition of using this relatively new term, although 2 years in internet history is quite a long time. It becomes so widely used that then this massive mainstream media trial of celebrities, they use the term Disney adult to it as well. But Nathan was pretty much right. Like, so you have this confluence of a lot of different things that COVID kind of spread. You know, millennials and Gen Z grew up on the Disney IP during its rapid growth in the 90s and 2000s, just after the Renaissance that Ian was talking about, right? There was a resurgence of it. We all aged into adulthood and a lot of people kept that attachment. But then you add into that the Tumblr era, which had a massive amount to do with this in the background. So the if Reddit was the negative side of Disney adults, Tumblr was like the positive side of things. But then in 2022, Rolling Stone ran this article, which was the premise was the most hated people on the internet, and it was all about Disney adults, which was
Which is bizarre because pedophiles was still a thing. Yeah.
Nope.
Although there is
Nope.
crossover.
Yes,
At least
there
some of the
is,
pedo.
yeah.
The thing is, at least some of the pedos can sing. So, you know,
Some of them can sing, but I think Disney adults are probably those. Some people can sing. I would picture them being. There was always one girl in your class that would just sing out loud, completely unwarranted. For fuck's sake, here's the cat. And and I reckon
Not in
those
the
are
butthole.
Disney adults. Sorry, carry on. Do carry on.
I can show you the world. Shining, shimmering, splendid. In this article by Rolling Stone, they quoted sentiment from people online that Disney fans were a plague upon society and would bring about the end of Western civilization.
Yep.
Which I
No,
can see
no
it.
argument there.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on.
The thing is, right, I'll be very upfront about this. Nathan might know this, he might not, right? Walt Disney made like the first parks because he had fuck all to do while his kids were on like the merry-go-round and that. Like, the idea was a place where people could go. Like, it wasn't made just for adults, but it was made for a family, adults as part of that family. It wasn't just made for kids. So I will kind of say that in defense there. But the probable answer as to why it became such a widespread phenomenon of calling people Disney adults was that Instagram and TikTok were a big thing that we had during the pandemic. So you started, and it was just like, I think Nathan might said it, you're living vicariously through other people. So seeing these people with very expensive hobbies, as we've discussed, being a Disney adult is a very expensive hobby. You made it visible to strangers for the first time. Enough people did it, and enough attention was gained that you would draw people of both sides. So you'd be people who watched it and be like, oh, I do that. That's okay. I can talk about that now. They'd start posting about it. Then you'd have people like me who'd watch it and be like, that's just senseless consumerism, you fucking mook.
For this fucking cat. Definitely through COVID, there was a huge increase in the theme park vlogger, just through people looking back past theme parks and things like that, people doing full vlogs of all different things, not just Disney ones, and experiencing the day through that way because we weren't able to leave the house. So Disney definitely, or the Disney adults and the Disney vloggers who were going to these parks definitely also had an increase in their traffic from that. 100%, as Chris says, people living vicariously through them. I've watched a few Disney vlogs, and it was mainly on the build up towards going to the parks, because I'm a theme park nerd. I want to know the best times to go places, the best things to do, how to make the most of the money that I've spent. Because I'm doing that because I'm not going to go every fucking year. I'm not going to go every 6 months. I go, and I'm probably not going to go again for another 6 years or something, maybe 7 years, when the little one's old enough to enjoy it. So it's like not a once in a lifetime thing, but it's a once in a blue moon thing for me.
That's the thing, is that like if you get to the point where you structure your year around your visits to Disney, which it sounds excessive to me. To me, that is the reason that this became so visible online, is because of the catalyst that was COVID, Instagram, and TikTok all together. Our social media culture has this tendency, in my opinion, that everything's got to be slightly more extreme every time you do it in order to stand out from the crowd. And that then reflects into real life behaviors as well of Disney adults. So the reason we have such extreme examples of Disney adults is because that is what gets pushed to the top of algorithms, which then encourages that behavior more. It's a cycle that feeds itself. But the good news is, for Disney adults who hate listening to this or hate watching this, depending on how you consume our podcast, whether you're a bean flicker or an audio wanker, who knows? Some people like to watch and rub. Some people like to listen and stroke, is the DMs I get. Depending on who you are. Turns out, according to AJ Wolf, Disney adults don't really care that much about what people on the internet think about them. In general, like a community in general. They're actually too busy fighting each other. And this is where the Disney Civil War comes in. And if I was really good at video editing, this is where I'd do a big title card in the style of the Avengers. But I'm not, so just imagine it. There are several strands of Disney adults, and there are certain hard lines that the community draw amongst themselves. So there are park people versus film people. There are people who consider themselves fans because they absorb all the Disney movies. But there are people who think that unless you go to the park, you're not a real Disney fan, for example. The dominant strand for us, for Disney adults, of course, is park-focused. There's not much Disney lore masters that are very prominent online. Walt Disney World and Disneyland are the two most prominent ones. And then you've also got Disneyland Paris, which, as the old fuck Ian used to remember, it's called Euro Disney. I also remember it being called Euro Disney, but he's not bald, so fuck him. I look older, but he is older. Fuck him.
If it helps, it was raining the day that I went there.
Good, shitter. So a lot of coverage treats the two things as synonymous, right? It's you go to the parks and you love the films, and it's not always the case. There's film first fans who can often be quite snobby, if they can, animation historians. They could they know everything about the Disney creative process. I watched an 1.5-hour documentary about the making of The Nightmare Before Christmas, and just how much effort and how many iterations that film had to go throughout many years before it got made. So it's a full-time obsession, just learning about the films themselves. Then you've got the other side of things, near obsessives, who know everything about the design principles that go into Disney parks and stuff like that. And then you've got the rides themselves and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah.
Now, I actually, I don't mind the Imagineering obsessives in that sense, because it is incredibly interesting. They are, for the sole purpose of consumerism / entertainment, some of the best engineers of physical effects and special effects out there. I know there's far better engineers in rocket science and things like that, but just for the sole purpose of entertainment, they are the best of the best. If you want to watch a documentary on that, there is a great series called The Imagineering Story. It's very, very cool. It goes, I think it's about 6 episodes. There might be a newer season as well, but it goes through the decades of what it is that the Imagineers did from the very start of the Phantom Manor onto these new animatronics, which are just fucking scary, crazy good. It is interesting if you're an engineering nerd, 100%, and I think that's more admirable than just loving it for the sake of buying a plate.
Yeah, I mean that sound that's the thing. They all sound fairly reasonable by themselves, and it's not to say that Disney adults don't fall into multiple of these categories. Someone could be all of them. You know, another one, for example, is a collector. These are often shunned. The collectors aren't shunned. The resellers are shunned, but collectors, these are all about the merch. Cut them and they bleed merch. So these are the people who collect the pins, the Mickey ears, the popcorn buckets, the Loungefly bags, the Starbucks park specific mugs, the snow globes. Like, these fuckers have bots and database trackers and like inventory management system, but they also have, on top of that, they have like trading etiquette and authentication methods around merchandise and collections. We'll cover that separately though, which we'll get to in a little bit. Then you've got your bounders and your cosplayers. These are people who use Disney bounding as a daily practice. They go engineer the perfect outfit to go to Disney. And I sent Nathan a very, very uncomfortable looking man whose entire account is Disney bounding. And he's always staring at the camera as if he wants to be a cute little guy. And it's just very deeply uncomfortable. But then there's couples who their whole accounts are Disney bounding. So there's people who might not even go to the park that much, but their entire life or online life is structured around getting the perfect outfit that's Disney inspired.
I Disney bounded.
Fucking right, go on.
It's not a joke. It was not so much when we went to Disneyland Paris most recently. We went with another adult friend as well, came along with me, my wife, and my daughter. And she said, "Have you heard of Disney bounding?" And I went, "Oh, fuck's sake." And so she said, "We should all Disney bound." So we didn't, first off. But I have a Pizza Planet hoodie, a red Pizza Planet hoodie, and a Pizza Planet cap. And that's as far as I went. I looked like I worked at Pizza Planet. I've actually just been looking around my room and seeing how many Disney items that are in
I
my
thought,
room.
like, as I
in
started
my
reading out the
living room.
categories, I thought Nathan's going to be fighting for his life here, trying to justify this to himself.
I'm going to try and turn this around to show you what's going on here, because there's a little baby bouncer just down there, which is a Finding Nemo baby bouncer. But also, if you have a look, just
He
up
doesn't even have a
here
baby, by the way.
on
He just buys
Dawn,
the toys.
that spellbound picture there, that is from Disneyland Paris in 1996. I think it is a framed picture. And we have three pictures. One is Stitch at the top, Moana in the middle, and Finding Nemo at the bottom. My wife is a huge Disney fan, by the way. She's not a Disney adult in the sense of she would never part with the money to do that. I do think that if she was a millionaire, we would be Disney adults. I would be that
Well,
man on the Meat
we've
Canyon video you sent me.
Melvin, yeah.
Yeah.
Melvin Macabre. Well, let's see if Sal falls into any of these categories, because we're still not done yet. We've got pass holders and locals. These are annual pass holders who treat the park as a regular evening out rather than a holiday. I was in a Lord of the Rings book club with a woman like this. She would just go on her lunch break. She'd go to Disney.
I would
There is a
do
guy
that if I
called
lived next to it, man. If I lived so close as a theme park enthusiast, I would get an annual pass. And I would be there all the time.
This is the part of the episode where we just whisper into the radio that we got him and the SWAT team come in for Nathan.
I would do it. If I lived
Got
next
him.
to any theme park, I would do that.
There is a guy who got a Guinness World Record for the most consecutive day trips to Disney. He's called Jeff Ritz, and he did 2,900 visits.
Is he the one that would get the free meals as well? So he would just go for his dinner.
I think so, but I can't remember if I've got it still in here somewhere because I took a load of stuff out for time. If he got really diminishing returns in rewards from Disney, like they were like, yay! And then as it went on, they were like, just bare minimum, mate. Like, fuck off, freak. So you got your pass holders and your locals, because people who live in the state get a discount on tickets and stuff like that. But then you've got the owners. Well, this is an interesting one. Disney Vacation Club members, or the DVC, double vaginal cocks, and Club 33 members, people who've beat Expedition 33. Oh, Club 33 are people who've converted their enthusiasm into financial investments. No, not investments, because there's barely any secondary market.
Ruin.
Financial obligations. Financial obligations. Of course, like rats, you're never more than 10 foot away from one. We've got the creators and the influencers. These are the layer of twats who sit on top of all of these things and turn it into a job. Their income depends on going to Disney. But AJ Wolf herself has noted that Disney has pivoted towards an access-driven influencer ecosystem. Means that this group, like what this essentially means is that she argues that because of the importance and the emphasis Disney put on influencers, that you cannot really trust anything a Disney influencer says or does at the park because it's all geared around painting Disney and they're compromised
paid for
assets.
advocates, basically. Yeah,
they are. They're compromised assets.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what they are. Yeah, if it was the CIA, you'd kill them. And then
If you were Disney, you'd kill them.
yeah, true. If they could. Now, these are the last ones. These are the bastards, and these are the ones that everyone would fight against. It's the resellers. These are attendees who use access and sometimes exclusive access to buy exclusives, take them off the market, and then flip them at a markup. AJ Wolf. Yes. AJ Wolf raises the question directly in her book about whether people taking advantage of the community can be considered Disney adults at all. Now, I put a picture in the group chat of those guys walking away with massive carts and bags full of merchandise. That was 4 minutes after the park opened. They were there, they grabbed everything, paid for it, and then were out straight away. This is where this is the crux of the civil war between everybody else and resellers. The resellers get access to the parks and they buy the exclusive merchandise, then sell it on to other Disney adults who either can't afford to spend the time and money it would take to go and get these things or don't get access to them at all. It's just crazy. But, you know, we talk about overconsumption around Disney adults. Let's talk about some of the numbers around Disney adults. This is where it gets a bit hairy for me. So the single thing that I'd associate with Disney adults generally is the overconsumption, like I've mentioned, and the money involved in it, right? New York Magazine summed up that AJ Wolf's book only exists because people are willing to spend tens and tens of thousands of dollars to return to the same theme park for the same experience over and over and over. AJ Wolf ran up $17,000, £12,600 roughly, Disney debt herself. And one of the Goodreads reviews states that, like, she announces it in like a gleeful kind of way, like that she's proud of this. And this is their biggest defender. This is Disney adults' biggest defender, is she ran up that much debt just for Disney.
So just to be clear, is AJ Wolf self-identifying as a Disney adult? Right, okay.
Yes.
So it's not
she's
she's studying people who do this. She's a self-acknowledged person who does this.
She is, and that's what makes the data fascinating, but also quite unreliable, because when she's talking to other, and she's got a very big reach amongst Disney adults, don't get me wrong, she's got like a massively popular blog and what have you, but it's a lot of her stuff is anecdotal, but, you know.
As is her sibling BB Wolf when he tried to take on the Three Little Pigs.
Yes.
I am so disappointed in you, Ian. I thought for a second that was a Beowulf joke. I was so kind of like, wow, That's a good joke to make there, Ian. I wonder how he ties this one off. You didn't.
That's
All
the
I'm
kind of
saying
humour you get
is
for
that
being at the stand.
there's
Yeah. I thought you'd be
that
like,
was it. I didn't mention that. That was him. All I'm saying is there was a Merry Melodies or Silly Symphonies, whatever the Disney version brand is, of the
Mhm.
Three Little Pigs. There isn't one that depicts the Grendel, taking on Beowulf.
Not
no,
yet.
but if you look at the plus size Park Hoppers videos, you'll see a lot of grundles.
Okay,
So it's all good.
sure.
So there was. Let's just go through some beats, right? So like I said, there was a guy, Jeff Ritz. He attended Disneyland 2,995 days consecutively at a reported cost of around £74,000, which is $100,000. That
Could
was
he not go
recorded.
5 more days to hit the 3,000? That's
That was
pathetic.
that was recorded in the Guinness Book of World Records in 2023.
As the most amount of debt someone's incurred. Yeah.
Well, no, actually, our next point shows that he wasn't.
Okay.
An Arizona couple reportedly spent close to $125,000 a year visiting Disneyland, 92,600. They visited Disneyland 60 to 80 times a year, but then they lost their Club 33 membership and they filed a lawsuit which ended up costing them $400,000 or £296,000.
Yeah, you don't fuck with Disney lawyers. They're just
I will
lawyers
say-
with theme parks.
I will say, as a lawyer, it's pretty well known you don't fuck with Disney.
Disney or Nintendo, you don't fuck with their
Yeah,
lawyers.
yeah.
A student who signed up for the Disney College program, which is a semester working in the parks, she spent $15,000 or £11,100 of savings in on 6 trips in 2 years and ended up with $5 in her bank account. 33 Club 33 memberships is a very exclusive Disney invite-only club. Costs between $25,000 to $50,000 to join up to it. Then it's speculated an annual fee of $31,500 to maintain your membership, with a waiting list that is measured in years. They took on the last public intake was 2012, I think. In some parks, the waiting list is 10 years, and some it's 3 to 5 years.
All I'm saying is that I don't think my parents had to go through that shit for the American Adventure in Derbyshire, sadly now defunct, or Drayton Manor Park that is still going.
Or Pleasure Island in Cleethorpes.
All I'm hearing is that Metroland at the Metro Centre, bring it back, because it was very reasonable compared to this.
Club NE30, that was.
Disney DVC, Disney Vacation Club members, they carry a compulsory annual dues, which I've mentioned, between $1,247 to $2,234, between $924 and £1,655 on a typical contract. Now, this is paid every January until the contract expires, which can be up to 50 years long. There was a collector in 2022 who spent $1,000 on 30 pairs of Mickey ears, and a plastic popcorn bucket that retailed at $25 resold for $500 or £370 after people queued for 7 hours to get it. And this was a little purple dragon.
Yes, it was, what's he called? Figment.
Yes,
or
that's right.
Spyro
From
on meth.
a film from the 1980s. So most Disney adults in the age bracket don't really meet it.
Well, not just a film from the 1980s. Figment is a major part in Epcot. There is a ride in Epcot that is based around Figment. For those who are well into the parks and have, like, Figment has been a thing for a few decades in Epcot now.
Well, he's also a popcorn bucket that sold for a fucking stupid amount of money.
I remember when that happened, yeah.
Lending Tree, and this is where it gets good. Lending Tree did a study in 2024. 24% of Disney visitors borrow money for the trip. If you're a parent, 55% of parents borrow money to do with Disney. And of these figures, 59% of attendees report no regrets in taking on debt to visit Disney. That's some of the money involved in this.
Man, big figures all in the name of obsession or entertainment. We're leading into the obsession side of things, aren't we?
So, well, yeah, like, and that's the thing is that we should know. So I've give you some of the figures, but I want to talk about the scale of this, like how many people go to Disney, like, and who is it that's going. But before that, I want to pose a question, and this is something that I'm wondering about now. We're seeing with Disney that there's kind of no free tier to this, right? You can't just do this shit recreationally. You've got to pay to play. Do you think it's cheaper to be a Scientologist or a Disney adult?
Ooh, I think it's safer to be a Disney adult. I don't think if you stop being a Disney adult, you're gonna have Goofy and Mickey Mouse like standing outside your house and harassing
Filming
your
you.
neighbors. Yeah,
Well,
I don't think that's gonna happen.
That is true. That's not what Chris asked. But I think what you're talking about is only if they're a famous Scientologist.
Yeah, if you've gone clear.
If you're a bog standard person who signed up to a test, paid a membership fee, and then, I made a terrible mistake, sorry. I think you're probably going to be all right for the rest of your life. I'm going to say Disney adult. In terms
I think
expenditure. Talking about all these clubs and, paying like 1,200 quid a year until your 50-year contract runs out in January 2083 or something like that. I'd have to hope that you're not expected to pay anything more if you're in a resort when you're paying that much. You're okay. I'm looking at that face.
No,
you're going to tell me something.
That ain't it, mate.
Yeah.
They when you pay these timeshares and stuff, you only get access to certain resorts. You don't get access to everything. You don't get things like the lightning passes anymore. A lot of it you just don't get. Like you basically, like, you get the room, maybe one or two other things, but they're still milking your little gonads dry.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is as well, is you can't actually go whenever you want. You do have to.
You have to enter.
You enter a little bit of a lottery because there's only certain allocations to how many people hold these passes and hold these things can actually go at one time. Just after COVID and during COVID, it was fucking terrible. Like no one could get in.
That'll be the timeshare aspect, won't it?
Yeah, they'd be spending all this ridiculous amounts of money. And then they're like, oh, I can only get in on Tuesday the 17th, but I'm not going to Florida on that day.
Yeah. I don't have the time off work that Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
When I live and work in Nuneaton.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's also there's studies that they show the figures of how much the Disney prices have rose over the years, and it is crazy, and they just keep going up because people keep paying it. So the annual fees rise between 3% and 5% every year, and there's no cap on it. That's not the Gen Z term. I mean, there's no upper limit. For real, fam.
We need the next generation of Disney adults.
Yeah, so there's no caps on the fees, and even if you don't use any of your points that year, you still got to pay your annual dues, and it just keeps going and going. And there's no like there's no free food or anything. There's nothing associated with it really, but people are still buying these things because of that. They've got that nostalgia.
Would it be cheaper through Haze Travel?
Possibly. Just like Nathan, actually, like we do plan to visit Disney, but we're going to wait until our kid is older.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the Japan one because it's cheaper to actually fly out to Japan and go to that one and have a holiday in Japan as well, rather than go to Florida.
Yeah.
Just fucking.
It's definitely. I think it's definitely worth doing it at a time when your kids can appreciate it. Because certainly when we did Disney World, I was 9, my sister was 8, my brother was 6, which is pretty much pretty much the right
Mm.
right ages to be. Again, when we did Euro Disney, we were all a lot younger, and I can remember it. Like my siblings can't really. And then when we did Disneyland, we were all in our teens, so it's like we can appreciate it, but we like certain stuff's a bit beneath us. So
Well, that's the thing as well. It's not built for kids. A lot of the stuff it's built for our family, which includes adults. There's just a lot of stuff that's because it's like Club 33 exists because famously Disney had the no alcohol in the park rule. Club 33 existed as Club 33 existed as an exception to that rule. So the composition of the people who go to Disney, the scale of it is. It's mad to say this, but 2018 was nearly 10 years ago, so this data is a little bit getting on now. But in 2018, there was a transport analytics firm called Streetlight Data, and they did a study on location analysis on Walt Disney World visitors. They tracked phone data to work out where people had travelled from and what kind of household they belonged to. Only 36.7% of those visitors came from households with a child under 18. So 63.3% were childless or older families. They also pushed back against the rebuttal that, the staff must skew the numbers. There is no way that there is enough staff there to make any meaningful impact on the numbers one way or the other. Other estimates, for example, there was news station reported visitor surveys that on any given day, roughly a third to roughly a half of all visitors to Disney have no child with them. There's a big stretch there between a third and a half, but no credible estimate has ever put the figure below a third. So whichever way you spin it, that is a very sizable chunk of the visitors who are there, who are they do not have children with them, so they are visiting as Disney adults. And in 2023, Walt Disney World drew approximately 48.8 million visitors. So if we apply the conservative 1/3 estimate to that, that means in that 2023, Walt Disney World had 16 million Disney adults visit them, that is a big one.
That is a big
So
one, and that's also not counting the people who really want to be Disney adults and can't afford it. There will be people out there who just love it so much and will really, really want to do it, but are in no way able even to get into debt for it.
Right, I took that the other way. I thought I was imagining a family were there with the kids. I'm like, I fucking hate these kids. This is bullshit. I wish I was here by myself.
That's what I thought when I went with my kids.
Again,
What do you
shout
mean
out
you
to
need
my
the
friend.
toilet? You need the toilet
Yeah.
again? You need to go for food? For God's sake.
Do you know what a vegan
It's the
burger
secrets of-
costs in this place?
It's fucking ridiculous. That's what it is.
Yeah, let's not. I purposefully not went into super duper granular detail on stuff like that, but it's crazy. Like $50 per meal for one person
What?
is about it's about there.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
that's
mental.
not an unwieldy estimate.
We did a thing though where we got because we stayed on site as well. We were there for like 4 or 5 days or something. We stayed on site and we got a meal a day included. So, but once again, you had to book where it is that you went. It was like a lottery to see where it is that you could actually go. And if we
Is
hadn't
Oliver Twist from Disney?
no,
Is Oliver Twist Disney? Because they could have got away with giving you gruel.
I think maybe Disney did an Oliver Twist film.
They did an adaptation called Oliver and Co. in the 1980s
With a cat.
with a cat, and all the songs were done by Billy Joel.
Oh, baller.
Right.
Sorry, tell us about your food lottery, like the fucking Hunger Games.
Yeah, it was basically you had to make sure that you booked in, you had to be there. But I was looking at the prices for the things that we were buying and ordering because the restaurants are pretty fucking cool, pretty fancy. And we went to Captain Jack's, which was great. That is my
John
ideal
Barrowman
one
putting his
because
plonker and everything.
you basically no, you couldn't see a fucking thing. It was pitch black, but it was my ideal one because you were basically in the ride of Pirates of the Caribbean. There was
Jack
a part
Sparrow,
when
right.
the boat goes around a corner and you go past what you can just see is like a kind of hustling and bustling thing in the background, but it is us in the restaurant. And
I've been there. Oh my God, I've been on that ride.
yeah,
You've just unlocked a memory. I've been there. And
yeah,
I know exactly the thing you mean.
yeah. So we're all eating, and you can always see the boat going around. But when you go on the boat, it just looks like relatively far away in the horizon that there's like just a bit of hustling and bustling and pirate stuff going on. But looking at the prices, if we hadn't done that package, I would have just starved. I would not
So
have eaten.
let's just stop there for a minute, right? Because I think we've drawn a really a good parallel there. So you go to a place that is under authoritarian rule,
Yes.
where you and your family are you're cramped into very small quarters that you've paid outrageously for.
Yeah.
You are then forced into a lottery to decide where you can eat, and you are policed and lorded over by people in ridiculous costumes.
Yes, correct.
I think Disney need to sue the woman who wrote Hunger Games, because that is just the fucking plot of the Hunger Games.
Basically,
You are
yeah.
yeah. Oh my God, that is horrific.
From a former Disney adult.
Nathan ain't getting out of this one. He is. He ain't getting out of it.
I told you I'm adjacent.
Who are Disney adults?
Me.
One's here. Aggregated survey data between 2024 and 2025. Disney adults in the 25 to 44 age band, old enough to have disposable income, young enough that they are nostalgic for the animated run of Disney between 1989 and 1999, starting with The Little Mermaid through to Tarzan. So, Ian, they
both
got
the films that include feet. Both of those have extensive feet parts. You've got Jane's feet in Tarzan, and you've got Ariel's
Tarzan's
feet.
feet in Tarzan.
Tarzan has his big feet, yes, but Tarzan specifically plays with Jane's feet in a scene.
Gets directed by Quentin Tarantino. But yeah,
It explains why.
That was the Disney era that I watched. It was like it started at Little Mermaid. After
The
Tarzan,
feet era.
I couldn't be asked with whatever came next. I couldn't actually
There's
tell.
no feet.
Well,
just after that comes the early Pixar era, so you can make like some allowance for
yeah,
that as well. But
yeah, I suppose I suppose I did, but yeah, I don't know what Disney came up with. Like there was Treasure Planet. All right, I'm not watching that. The Muppets did a better
Emperor's
version.
New Groove, man.
Yes, I'll get
Hell
definitely
yeah.
that. Yes. But after that, it's fucking nothing.
Yeah.
I dread to think of the day I'm watching Tarzan with Nathan and he just calls them dirty gorilla grippers. You see him just walking along. He's like, look at those gorilla grippers. I'm just going to go to the toilet.
Well, Nathan can't go to Africa anymore.
No, I could open a banana with them.
Never mind Africa. You can't go to fucking Blackpool Zoo.
No, I'm not allowed outside during summer because everyone's wearing open-toe sandals. It's like walking around topless around me. When I was in Greece, Sal's always like, why are you walking around looking down all the time? You playing Pokemon Go? No, I'm not. I'm looking at everyone's feet.
That's why, yeah. So for anyone who's interested, Nathan works in a factory, and it turns out that steel toe caps are the only way to keep him safe.
That's right, yeah.
From his X-ray vision.
Yeah. We don't use any sort of heavy lifting or anything. They are just to keep everyone safe from me. That's what they are.
Back to the topic at hand. The gender split for Disney adults runs to about 80% women. I don't know how many of them have nice
interesting.
feet. I didn't ask.
Not many if they're walking around Disney parks all day. I'll tell you that. There's a lot of walking.
Women. The most unfortunate thing, I'm from Teesside. I'm from a town called Stockton.
That is unfortunate.
And it is. Not the point, though. There were two women I used to work with who were very, very attractive until I found out they were Disney adults. And that just kind of skewed things a bit because it wasn't so much that was the issue. It was that once I kind of tried to make conversation with them, I was like, oh, is that from Disneyland? And then it just, every time they saw me, then I was just subjected to this tirade. And it was both of them. Just subjected to this tirade about like Disney and stuff because they thought I was interested, and I just really fucking wasn't.
Were they like your age, or were they kind of?
Yes. Yeah. Well, we're right. All of us are right in the millennial age bracket for this. We're all right in the demographic here. It was just very unfortunate. Don't talk to people at work you find attractive. It's never worth it. They're always. It turns out they're real people, and it's shit. Between 1,500 and 4,000 couples marry at Disney World each year. However, World doesn't report this number, but wedding planners do.
Right.
So Disney never publishes the number, but the wedding planners do, right? So Disney won't say shit, but the wedding planner's like, yeah, we can get you, yeah, we can do whatever the fuck you want.
Remortgage your house, and you too can
pretty much
get married at Disney World.
Get
Well,
married
this
in
is
front
the
of a
thing,
castle.
because-
Look at this castle. It's still standing after 30 years. That's fucking incredible.
That's fucking amazing.
You know where that goes down very well? I'm not allowed to say. But
Disneyland.
Live action roleplay events, unless you're on the losing side of the siege, in which case
Yeah.
it's not a good one.
No.
So Disney's Fairy Tale Weddings is a formal division of the company that has its own packages, venues, and planners. So they, again, have leaned into this shit. Disney want you to do every life event possible at their park. We've talked a lot about America. Let's bring it closer to the UK with our historic enemy, France.
Boo.
Almost all of the available reporting is America. Very, very, very little gets reported about Disneyland Paris, but I did get some figures. DLP will never sit right with me working in cybersecurity to refer to Disneyland Paris in that way. However, Disneyland Paris pricing for 2026-2027 approximately puts a day ticket, 1 day, 1 park ticket at £50 off-peak and £90 or more at peak times. Disney does data pricing, arguably known as price gouging, which certain Roman emperors, Diocletian, my homeboy, would declare as an enemy of the state. But Disney would be hanged in the Colosseum and crucified. But same-day tickets prices can vary substantially, right? In Disneyland Paris, annual passes are tiered. The cheapest, bronze, is €289, which in real money is £246. But they have blackout dates, which I think is where you can't visit the park. Is that right? Like where you're not allowed to go? Or you have to buy a day ticket?
Yeah.
Bullshit. Top gold tier is €799 or £679. So for bronze tier, you have to go at least twice to make the visit worth it. And my neighbours are going tomorrow, I've just found out, and a typical package for 2 adults for 2 nights in a Disney-owned hotel with tickets is £1,100. Ooh,
Yeah.
indeed.
Is that the? So did you say that's the typical, or is that the cheapest?
Typical £900 to £1,100.
2
Yeah,
adults,
'cause you've
no
got
kids.
Two adults, 2 nights, park tickets included.
No,
Yeah.
and no kids.
No kids.
Right.
No
The
kids.
thing is with that data is the hotels vary so much in the quality and the price. Disneyland Paris in particular, you've actually got one called Davy Crockett's Ranch, which is just a lot further outside of the Disney Resort, but still classed as a Disney Resort, and that's your cheapest. And then you've got Santa Fe, which is the Cars related hotel. It's just like a themed to like a motel. And then you've got the Hotel Cheyenne, which is the one we stayed at, which is like related to cowboys, like Woody, and all stuff like that. Then you've got a couple of like middle ground ones. I forgot what they were. But then you've got the
One of the
Marvel-
ones.
The Art of Marvel Hotel is that's like a 4-star. That's a big expensive one. And then you've got the Disneyland Hotel, which is like smack bang right at the front of the park. You are basically, as soon as you come out, you are there. And that's massive. So these ones differentiate in price so much.
One of the ones you've mentioned, I can't remember the name, is the worst rated Disneyland hotel in the world.
Santa
It's one
Fe,
of the ones
probably.
associated. It's one of the ones associated with this. It's got nautical themed bedrooms. Some of them
All
are
right,
nautical
then
themed.
that's yeah, that's one of the middle ground ones. I forgot what it's called, but yeah, that's like a 3-star, I think it is. Yeah,
Apparently, it's like I watched a video the other day, and it was very very
I think it's
bad.
just dated.
Yeah, but Disneyland Paris, if you are dedicated, like for example for Newcastle, you could get a flight there and back same day, if you really wanted to, or you could get the train down. So like it's reasonably reachable for like my neighbours, for example. I live in the north. We all live in the northeast. My neighbours drive there. The only thing is now they've got electric cars. They just have to plan in like one stop more than they normally would. So it's fairly reachable, but it's still quite expensive. I will say, relatively speaking, relative's going to do a lot of heavy lifting here. Doesn't seem as egregious as America. Relatively speaking, I still wouldn't do it because at that point, if I'm going and I've got a kid, I'll just take it to Blackpool when the lights are on. Like, I'll take my kids to Blackpool.
It's not the same.
Same result.
What?
It's exactly the same
What?
result.
It's not
They
the
don't know
same
shit.
result.
It
Can
is.
I offer a halfway solution? You can take your kid to France to the theme park, but it doesn't have to be Disney, and that's expensive. Park Asterix.
Yeah, we talked about Park
Asterix to
before.
go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The place where I went on my first loop-for-loop roller coaster.
I meant to tell you, I'm just I've booked it all. I'm going to the Scarefest maze at Alton Towers in
Yes.
October.
You mentioned that.
Yeah, it's all been booked. I had to get a fucking annual pass. Bullshit. But
Oh, you
by
can
the
go
by,
back.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
listen
could all
back to
go.
our episode for the exact tips as to what to do and what to avoid.
You guided us through the park, didn't you?
Absolutely.
I did.
So
If it's too long,
go on.
didn't listen, avoid the world of David Williams.
Yes.
Exactly. I want to kind of give the Disney adults a little bit of a breather here. So I'm going to bring up some of the most egregious cases of Disney adults, or some of the things we've mentioned, like some of the cringiest things, which would be in November 2022. There was the very, very, very popular video of the woman crying when she first saw the Cinderella castle, and she captioned it "Cue the ugly crying." When it was cringy as fuck. There's a bit of a viral trend of like Disney adults crying and being overcome with emotion. And there was a couple in their 40s who posted a Disney bounding video titled 40-year-old Princess Squad has arrived, which was again this very, very cringy. The point being is that like it's very acceptable pile onto Disney adults when you see these things online, and it does happen, right? It can happen. It does happen. However, a football season ticket, or soccer for the Americans, or even American football for the Americans, I don't know. So a football season ticket with away travel, match day spending for like food in a stadium, beer and that, then 40 odd matches a year, that runs into the low thousands like annually. And that is not seen in any way, shape or form as comparable within the media. So like, and again, just in terms of cost and frequency, there's on the low end of things, I will say this, lower end of this, there's not a lot difference between that kind of football stuff and that kind of Disney adult stuff. Like they're about the same, but the difference is in how they're treated by just about everybody. So I will say in defense of Disney adults, when you phrase it like that, it's not that bad. And
Yeah.
I would even go as far as to say the posting on social media about footballs or my club till I die kind of shit.
Yeah.
I would love to see Disney riots when the Mickey team meet the Goofy team and kick fuck out of each other. I'd love that. Like, comparatively, not that bad.
Yeah, you don't get
not
like
that different.
the Frontierland Beach Patrol are suddenly walking through and facing off against the Discoveryland Gremlins, and then they're all just having a scrap at the top of Main Street. Those are all real places in Disney, by the way. But like lots of those things, I always think that, especially football and like sports and stuff like that, not so much romanticized, but it is so much more accepted within nerd culture. But it is a nerd culture. I've always said that to me dad. My dad's called me a nerd for multiple things, and I've said, Dad, can you name 5 Grimsby Town players from 1995? And he does. And I say, that is not a normal thing to be able to do, just so you know. But we're all nerds in our own way, shape, or form. Like Taylor Swift, people who go see Taylor Swift, they spend all sorts of money to go do it. They all wear little T-shirts where they're all
That
wearing the same clothes and they're all singing the little fucking songs, just like at
so
football.
just to say, AJ Wolf specifically uses the Eras tour as an example and a counter argument in her book. So yeah, you've nailed it. She talks about Taylor Swift and the Eras tour specifically for the same reason. She says like it's all comparable, and it is. It really is. Also, Disneyland was like Walt Disney conceived Disneyland while he was sat on a bench at Griffith Park watching his daughters ride a carousel, and he had fuck all to do. That's why he made Disneyland. Was I guess just for
And I'll
him.
name it after me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, what, Chris Land?
I'd love that. Chris
Look,
Land.
another 4 Lord of the Rings rides. Oh, we're opening a new one. What's this one? It's also Lord of the Rings.
We tried a Hobbit one, and then he shut it down. He said it wasn't faithful to the book.
Yeah, he hated it. He hated everything about it because they made the castle too grungy.
Yeah.
There was too many spikes on the walls. It didn't match the timeline.
And where was Tom Bombadil in all of this?
Yeah. So me and Nathan were playing that Lord of the Rings game yesterday, and I went on a bit of an unhinged rant about some ruins.
Yeah.
AJ Wolf, again, in this book, which does a lot of heavy lifting in this episode, she makes a very, very interesting argument that I found really compelling, actually, is that Disney offers, specifically the one in Florida, Disney World functions as a pocket of queer acceptance within a state whose politics have went much more conservative and very sharply.
This has been a big thing in the last few years, particularly with Trump.
Yeah,
DeSantis,
so like
isn't it?
DeSantis,
They've had big beef. The cat's getting me ponytail.
She makes the point that some proportion of attendees who are 80% women, and there'll be of that 20%, there will be a sizable portion who are like, queer, gay, whatever. We don't even account for the they thems, right? But like within Disney World, like within these places, some proportion of attendees are not there for the nostalgia. It's just somewhere they can visibly be themselves, which, I mean, to me, that lends it a much more sympathetic kind of lean, where I'm like, I'm still going to laugh at you for your pins, but I'm not laughing at you because you're gay. If this is the place you can be to be safe, you're not safe from me, but you're safe in general.
Yeah,
Chris
that's
will
fine. Still assault you.
You're not safe from me. Well, I think that at this time, I will make a statement to the queer community. Disney World will make you safe from the world, but you're still not safe from me.
No.
I'll still get you.
He will lynch you and hang you from that giant tree at the Animal Kingdom at Disney World.
But not because you're queer.
No.
Just because of all the consumerism.
Because you're fat.
Get up against the wall. It's a revolution. Get up against the wall.
Yeah.
He'll use a particularly sturdy branch for the hanging.
He will.
Hi, welcome back to the Plus Size Park Hoppers. Today we're going to see, will this branch hold me? Back to Disney. So Disney, they encourage this kind of behavior, right? They do. They cater to adults. So they do ticketed events after hours for adults only. The Disney orgies, a big hit. Massive.
I would go to one of them.
Okay.
Right, yeah, I would. I'd love to like blow to the sound of To Infinity and Beyond.
Chris,
there's a snake in my ass.
Is this a joke or is this literally a thing?
No, they do have ticketed. The Disney orgies aren't real, but the ticketed events for adults are. They have cocktail bars now. Like Club 33 used to be the only place, but I think there's more like reasonable consumption places. There's the Epcot Food and Wine Festival, and then on the Disney cruises, you've got the adult-only decks and the lounges that cater only to adults. None of this is designed for kids. Like this is all built on nostalgia for films that are coming up to 40 years old. Sometimes some of them are 40 years old. Yeah, like It's just there's a very strong counter case to make for Disney adults not being extreme, not being unusual, and not being weird. So let's just give them a little bit of a break. And let's talk about all the people who won't stop spreading ashes on the rides.
Yay.
Scattering human remains remains a continuing operational problem for Disney World and Disneyland. In 2018, the Wall Street Journal reported on the record with many current and former cast members that they cannot stop guests spreading the ashes of loved ones on the rides.
On the
My
rides.
God.
Keep
Which
the
ones?
ride.
Like, it's a small world.
The Haunted Mansion, the Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, It's a Small World, and the Flower Beds, Rise of the Resistance. They're all the
Rise
most
of the
common rides to do it on.
Resistance. Why? Wait, why?
So,
why is
hang
it-
on,
It's
right.
new.
It's a
There-
great
no,
big,
there's a
beautiful
pattern.
tomorrow.
There's a pattern. So one custodian told the Wall Street Journal, the volume of human ash in the Haunted Mansion has gone past the point where the staff think it's funny, but the pattern is the same, that any slow-moving, dark ride where a person can act unobserved
Mhm.
is ripe for people spreading the ashes of loved ones.
My God. I suppose
But-
it's better than doing it on Space Mountain just when you're about to fucking launch. It just goes back and everyone's like,
The official term is high efficiency particulate air cleanup, HEPA cleanup. And that is named after there's a filter that needs to go on a vacuum cleaner, because if you don't, you just spread the ash really thin and it doesn't go into the Hoover. You just spread it around everywhere and it rubs it into the carpet. So they
My
have to put a
God.
special
People
filter
breathe
onto
it
the
in and
They have to put a special filter onto the vacuum cleaner. The cast members and the staff informally refer to this as Code Grandma. We've got a
Goodness me.
Code Grandma.
So everyone going on these rides are unknowingly just slowly moving around on the corpses of 1,000 different people.
breathing
Wow.
them
Yeah.
in.
So if
That's
when they
special.
get caught, and if they get caught, the ride has to be shut down for hours while the cleanup's carried out, which means that it's got a big operational cost and labour cost. Legally, it's a misdemeanor that carries a fine of up to $10,000. However, Anaheim police spokesman told the Wall Street Journal he was not aware of a single case ever having been referred to law enforcement.
Well, so they just
Which
kick them out
is-
and say, don't do that again. Like, well,
Pretty
they're not-
much.
They're not going to die again, are they?
The fucking joke's on you. Granddad's got cancer. See you next week.
Yeah.
I think this actually plays into the fact that there's a weird statistic of the fact that no one's ever died at a Disney park. But that's
And that's horrific. That is
Because
horrible because they make you wait.
anyone who looks like they're going to die, they'll get in the ambulance, but they'll take you off the Disneyland property. Therefore, if you
Yeah.
die, you haven't technically died at Disney.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. There's cases of like kids dying at Disney, and there was a woman who died. Actually, she was served something with nuts and she had a nut allergy and she died.
Yes.
And Disney tried to claim that because they'd signed up to Disney Plus and accepted the terms of Disney Plus,
I remember that.
that Disney weren't culpable for what had happened in the park. That was walked back after the public backlash.
Damn
But
right
I'm still
it
not.
was.
I'm still not done with the ashes, unfortunately. Wolf's book documents behaviours around these ashes spreading. Guests smuggling remains past bag checks despite explicit warnings. There's terminally ill fans who take a final trip, and there is a market of funeral urns etched with Cinderella's castle. And this is this overwhelming anecdotal evidence of fans and Disney adults treating the parks as their final resting place and intending for it to be their final resting place. So you'll have your ashes sprinkled inside a condom that goes up someone's arse so that they can get past the security at Disney, which it makes me think, what is the crossover between Disney adults and drug smugglers? because like it's the same skill set at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable.
I thought you read that directly from my will there, because that's just what I want. The first bit, it just up someone's arse. That's my final resting place. Doesn't even matter who.
You can be turned into a dildo when you die. I mean, to be fair, if Sal leaves you long enough, you can just be a dildo when you're dead. Without
I'm a dildo now, mate.
Yeah, just lay there.
Yeah,
Just lay there and think about Tarzan's feet.
I do. His gorilla grippers.
There's the popcorn buckets in the resale economy. Basically, Disney sells refillable popcorn buckets seasonally. They're collectibles that have limited runs tied to festivals, films, anniversaries. Buying one entitles you to discounted refills for the rest of the day or the rest of the season sometimes. However, the secondary market is fucking mental around these popcorn buckets, and it goes back to that collecting merchandise. When Figments was released, stock sold out by day 3 of a 5-week festival. The day 1 queue was 7 hours long, with some outlets reporting 8. It stretched from the Pop Eats booth around the World Showcase Promenade, past Test Track, to the Epcot Experience building.
Yeah, I was going to say, so this is Epcot that this is happening.
A substantial a way around the park, and for scale, that was longer than the wait for any ride at Walt Disney on any day of the year has been.
Yeah, definitely.
And guests in the queue were offering strangers further forward $100 to buy a second bucket on their behalf, which was 4 times the retail value at $25, to avoid the wait. Disney's response to this was to restock 3 weeks later via mobile order with a 2 per guest limit, and they've then reissued the Figment bucket every year since, including this year. But the 7-hour queue is repeated every year. It keeps going. The resale layers...
because it keeps the queues for the rides down.
In 2024, guest photographed a reseller leaving Disney's Hollywood Studios 4 minutes after they opened in bags full of merchandise. Within hours in 2024, dozens of the Star Wars popcorn buckets were listed on eBay at $60, which was double the retail price. This was within hours of it opening that morning. And the market is now international. There are proxy shopping businesses that exist to buy and ship park-exclusive buckets in Tokyo and Shanghai and then ship them to people in the Western world. It's... the fuck. It's crazy. There was a collector who I said had spent on 30 pairs of Mickey ears, spent $1,000. And then we've got the pin trading, which this is the one we'll have to skip over. There is a system... Nathan, what do you know? Can you tell us about Disney pins? Do you know how it works? Could you run us through it very quickly?
So there's lots of different pins that you can buy from all sorts of different shops. And there are also specific pin trading areas within Disney. You can go up and they will have a big board in the back of different pins that either people have traded or that they have just got there for trade. You will say, I really like that pin over there. They'll tell you what class the pin is in. I don't really understand what the different classes of the pins are. Do you show them your little fucking belt of the pins that you have and you say, can I trade this for that? And they'll look at that and they'll say, no, that's fake. They'll go, why is it fake? And because they're French, they'll just be like, go away. I do not care. I am French, so I am rude. Whereas I think in America, I think they're a lot more like, oh yeah, well, you can do this and that. The French, they don't care. They don't care about the pin trading. They just want to riot. That's all they want to do. But that's all I know about the pin trading.
And also, you're right. It's a 1-for-1 trading system. The cast members have lanyards with pins on, so you can trade pins with like Goofy, with Peter Pan, stuff like that. There are 2 things that endanger this economy, though. There are scrappers and there are counterfeits. Scrappers are genuine pins that didn't meet quality standards, that escape the factory, like Toy Story, and they make their way into circulation. It is just something that didn't meet quality standards. A counterfeit is a counterfeit. And there are ways to tell, and there are ways to be trained to spot counterfeit pins. Fuck knows why. I don't really give a shit. Because Disney doesn't inspect or remove traded pins from circulation. So once a scrapper is in the Disney ecosystem, the economy of the pins, it's there. They're not going to do anything with it. And there is estimates that by this point, 98% of pins in circulation, still in circulation, are scrappers or counterfeits. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, they're trying to police it now, but it wasn't very well policed in the day, I believe. So it's all just got a bit out of hand. But it's a very boring
Yes.
part of Disney. I don't really know why people get so fucking involved in it, to be honest.
No, I don't either. Another thing that we should discuss that is very interesting is Disney bounding. Now, there is a rule at Disneyland and Disney parks. If you are aged over 14, you cannot wear costumes. It is banned because Disney do not want you being confused with proper cast members. Because, it's, well, I can see that from a safeguarding point of view. Oh, ma'am, Peter Pan said, come over here into the toilets. I can
That's what that
understand
Disney lady said that got her into trouble.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thing is, though, I think there
and
should be a point, like, if I went dressed as Rapunzel, and I think they should allow me to dress up as Rapunzel and go, because it's very obvious that I am not Rapunzel.
Well, yeah. You'd look like Randy Marsh as
Hey,
Lord.
kids, I'm Aladdin.
Yeah.
I'm Rapunzel.
Ian,
yeah,
you're not
yeah.
dressing up as Aladdin. We can't keep doing blackface. I know how much you like it, but you can't keep doing it.
I'm from Leicester. I know what I'm doing.
But this ban is lifted for very specific events, such as Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and the Oogie Boogie Bash, which are held after normal park hours. But the term Disney bounding originated in 2011 by a lady called Leslie Kay, or Leslie Kalbfleisch, who was in her 20s in 2011, and she was living in Ontario. She was planning her first trip to Walt Disney World since childhood with her best friend, and so she started a Tumblr to channel the anticipation, and she named it Disney Bound, because she was literally bound for Disney. And it's still up to date. I had a look earlier. So one weekend, she posted collages of contemporary ordinary clothing assembled to evoke particular characters and imagine what they might wear in real life. The growth was 30,000 followers within 3 weeks. Now in 2011, that's big numbers. That's very big numbers. She got national television coverage 3 weeks after that, according to the Huffington Post in 2017. It is now, as of 2023, a full-time occupation. She's published a book called Disney Bound, Dress Disney and Make It Fashion. She collaborates with Disney's own Disney-style fashion, and she has a community of over 500,000 followers. The practice is now being formally acknowledged by Disney, who, of course, cash in on it, through D23, the company's official fan club. And on TikTok, as of 2023, she had over 770 million views, But what is Disney bounding? It's pretty much recreate the color scheme, textures, and accessories to evoke a Disney character using ordinary clothing. So, for example, her own example was that instead of carrying a sword, you would wear a necklace with a sword charm. So you want to subtly extract the essence of a character and convey it while keeping on the right side of the costume ban. It's distinguished from cosplay by the use of everyday clothing that you already owned or purchasable on the high street. So there's no wigs, props, or constructed pieces. It's ordinary outfits. And the etiquette is that if you ever post a Disney Bound or bind, you link to where each item can be bought, which is, for the internet, quite unusual that you provide sources for everything you do. Which
very Pinteresting to do
quite like that,
isn't it?
It is, and it's also part of why she was so successful, I think, because that format makes it incredibly easy to get brands on board, and they would be drawn to that stuff because they're majorly done it. People now bound as attractions themselves, and the Haunted Mansion, popping up again, is the most common subject for Disney
Cover
bounding.
yourself in some grandma's ashes and just go on your way.
So if you ever hear at Disneyland, don't panic if you ever hear someone say, fuck yeah, spread it, grandma. So the reference points are very specific if you bind as the Haunted Mansion. the ride's wallpaper pattern, the tightrope walker, the maid's green and black striped uniform, and Madame Leota. People do. Oh God, I was looking into this. Do either of you know what a Dole Whip is?
Yeah, a Dole Whip it's like an ice cream, and the Dole is the pineapple
Yeah.
product. A Dole Whip it's served in. It is basically like an ice cream with like your pineapple sauce stuff. Never had
people
one.
Disney bound. People now Disney bound as the Dole Whip. They
Well,
do food.
wild. They go wild for the Dole Whip because it disappeared
Yeah.
and it came back.
But capitalism being capitalism, they've now cashed in on it. There is a Monsters Inc. Laugh Tank crossbody bag shaped exactly like the canisters from the film. They're now on sale and they retail at $90 or £67 for a single purpose Disney bounding accessory. And there's also a hashtag associated with it. It's called Dooted, DOOTD, Disney bound outfit of the day, which means that people go to Disney and plan a specific outfit for every day that they are there of different Disney bound ones. And it's just blows your fucking mind. And Club 33, it's a very super secret club within Disney. It's very unobtrusive. It's just a plain door concealed inside New Orleans Square in Disneyland, and just has a brass plaque that says 33 on it. Walt Disney conceived of it as a way to entertain VIPs, and it was opened in 1967, 6 months after his death. Disney publishes no prices about it, and the members have to obey non-disclosure agreements. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why they took away the FastPass. And the Disability Access Service, not the FastPass, sorry, there was a queue skipper for disabled people until people ruined it. Service exists for guests who cannot tolerate physically long, normal queues, right? Because of medical equipment, pain, fatigue, whatever. Rather than skipping the queue, the guest is given a return time equivalent to the current wait. They go and wait elsewhere, then enter through the lightning lane. TikTok then began circulating DAS hacks with content creators explaining what you had to do to get one of these passes as a way to skip queues without paying for the lightning lane. So you would book in your time slots for the ride and then go and do elsewhere on the car. Disney stated that between 2019 and 2024, the time all this was really kicking off with Disney adults, DAS, Disability Access Service, issuances tripled. And it became the single most requested guest service in the park. In 2024, they narrowed eligibility substantially, and they now restrict it to guests with developmental disabilities such as autism. Assessment moved from an in-park conversation to now it's a proper appointment, video calls with third-party health professionals. And guests with wheelchairs are now instead redirected towards using physical disabilities are now asked to use wheelchairs in standard queues, which doesn't account for medical equipment and all that. And any falsified claim or issuance is now a lifetime ban and the cancellation of annual passes without refund. So if you're picking up what I'm putting down, people fucking ruined this for genuinely disabled people who needed these schemes.
Yeah.
That sounds like
They did,
yeah.
But also at the same time, it was never necessarily needed back in like the early 2000s, late 90s. I think Ian will probably be able to remember what Fast Track used to be. There was a Fast Track machine, and you basically went up to it, you pressed a button, and it would give you a little ticket with a time on that you could return. So you had a time of like 12:40 in the afternoon that you should return to Space Mountain, and then you just went on and did your day, came back, and then you were able to go in a Fast Track queue in which it would only be maybe 10, 15 minutes or so. But they got rid of that because they weren't making any money off it. Now, Fast Tracks cost money. They cost a lot of money. You can either pay per ride or you can buy the whole Lightning Lane experience, which is ridiculous amounts of money. So I would say if they just kept that same money, that cheap way of doing it, the free way of doing it, then these people wouldn't necessarily have needed this special pass to go and do their own thing. Therefore, the freaks wouldn't have ruined it because everyone would have had the same
Yeah.
opportunity. But it's all money.
Yeah, and they did. So we've got two cases here. We've got two victims essentially. Mangahas, who's 25 in 2024, so should be 27 now. Disneyland annual pass holder has lived with Guillain-Barré syndrome since 2018, which is a rare condition in which the immune system attacks the peripheral nerves. Now, this means she's paralyzed from the face down, uses a wheelchair, and has to breathe through a tracheotomy tube with a ventilator. And she requires suctioning constantly because fluid accumulates in her lungs. She was denied this pass and told the service was intended for guests who were severely disabled. What the fuck?
That's a PR faux pas.
Do I have to bring her like in a fucking thermos as soup for the like what the fuck? That's bizarre. So that was one of the people who, and then whatever. Now this one, the second case, this was February 2026. This is current. A full-time power wheelchair user filed a discrimination complaint with the Florida Commission on Human Relations on the 20th of February of this year. The FCHR is a state body that handles discrimination complaints. Mediation didn't take place before investigation had to proceed. And at that stage, the Commission can compel production of internal documents and interview staff, and has up to 180 days to determine whether there's reasonable cause for the discrimination. But on the same date that the complaint advanced, the Disney shareholders voted 95-5 against a proposal for an independent review of their legal and reputational risk for the Disability Access Service. Disney voted against some scrutiny and seeing whether they could improve on this being an issue. 85% of their shareholders voted against, reviewing how risky this was. And if someone dies in the queue because they shouldn't have been waiting for that long, regardless of whether or not they should be there in the first place, it's still going to be a bit of a fuck up on Disney's part. I could keep going. I've got fucking figures of people who took a load of debt, people who spent £52,000 on borrowing just for Disney. I very much hold Disney to account for capitalizing on people who have now better to do. I don't know. It's weird because on one hand I'm like, are you fucking idiots being Disney adults? But on the other hand, I'm like, Disney are really predatory with this shit. Like, this is horrific. Where do we stand on Disney adults?
Well, I think I am one now. I think you've convinced me. I am a Disney adult, or I would be a Disney adult if I had the money. No, I don't think I'd go that far. I'm going to thank you for this information, though, even though I know quite a bit about them, but it's nice to know how deep it really goes. So yeah, cheers for that one.
I'm also going to thank you for the knowledge because I wasn't quite aware just how deep it went, how expensive it all is. Because, when your folks are paying for you to be at the Disneyland resorts for a week in 1995, a substantial amount of time has changed, and it was very much billed as a major holiday on account of it being my mum's 40th. And the 2 weeks weren't all Disney. It was also a bit of Cape Canaveral, which has no ethical or moral commentaries whatsoever, and SeaWorld. And so, indeed, I've not even seen the documentary. I can just imagine it's bad. But I'll thank you for the information, Chris. Again, it's probably not something that's going to affect me, but at the same time, it's useful to know.
Good. And I'm going to finish off with the bit I've been holding back till the end, is that there are several theories around why Disney adults exist. One is religious structure that AJ Wolf says you want to fit in, so it's a bit like a religion, right? There's hierarchies and there's beliefs, and like it's like a church. The second is price desensitization, in that it's easy to think that Disney money is not real money. The third one is that maybe Disney adults exist because they don't have to structure their life around children, right? Fair enough. But my favorite one that I'm going to leave you with is something called terror management theory, which I really enjoyed learning about. So, terror management theory is a well-established strand of social psychology that states that we hold awareness of our own morality that generates anxiety, that we manage this through cultural attachments. So, identity, belief, belonging, and symbolic permanence. These are all to manage the terror of knowing that we're going to die. The research finds that mortality and this terror pushes people towards hedonistic escape and causes us to overvalue nostalgia. So the argument here is that Disney adults retreat into the safety of childhood specifically to avoid the anxiety of adulthood in the present decade as we rush towards death. And in fact, there is a neurochemical component. Nostalgia triggers dopamine and serotonin. A clinical psychologist framing of this is quite handy, right? Disney is one of the few environments a person can literally return to their childhood within.
Yeah.
So the music, the characters, the layout, and the smells are preserved. It's the same experience again and again and again. So that allows the visitor to reproduce a nostalgic state on demand and under their control in a way that allows them to retreat back into the safety of childhood and ignore the rushing sound of death coming towards them.
Yeah, I mean, we're the
I like
first.
that.
It is nice. We're the first generation to really be able to do that, though. To have a franchise as there's many franchises as powerful as that we can attach to, that we have grown up with, because media in general was a lot bigger when we were growing up, and TV, film, and everything was a lot more prominent. You would not necessarily see our parents enjoying theme parks based on fucking Casablanca or anything like that. Like, as much as I love Casablanca,
That was just
like
just World War II.
I know, but it's not like, they wouldn't all go and have a great time at Rick's over and over again.
The people
I mean, I
in the
would.
film didn't always have a good time at Rick's.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
no.
they just went to the pub, didn't they? That was
Yeah, that's
really.
it. They went to the pub and they hit the kids. That's what they did. So I'd
Yeah,
rather
so
be a Disney
that-
adult than hit my kids, or both. Who knows?
Yeah, I do both. Hit them at Disney.
Yes,
Nostalgic for when I used to get hit.
at Disney.
And get Jafar to take
and
a
that-
picture.
And
Actually,
my
sorry, I'm not
dear
letting you
friend-
finish. I'm not letting you finish because I'm finishing on a little story about when I was at Disney recently, and we saw Jafar, a guy dressed like Jafar, or a lady dressed like Jafar, and we were queuing up. My daughter was trying to get him to dab Jafar, and Jafar was just shaking his head because he had to act like a villain, and he wouldn't dab, and he was just telling her to stand next to him. I've got it all on video. It's great, and I was like stood at the back taking pictures and stuff like that. And he was going, just stand here. And she was going, dab. He's going, no. And then she went and stood next. They got a picture, and then he pointed at something, and she looked away. And when she looked away, Jafar went like that, and he dabbed. And it was the funniest shit ever. It was so funny.
That's lovely. That's a lovely story. That's a lovely story to
Mm.
finish on. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I know it means a lot to a lot of people who listen. In that our podcast is your terror management theory, in that we distract you from death, except tonight when you laid in bed and you'd listen to this episode and you think that you might not wake up tomorrow.
No.
That's it. And let that bring comfort to you. You don't know when you die. Let's be honest. You're not afraid of death. You're afraid of the act of dying.
Mhm.
But you know what? You've probably already experienced more pain than you'd ever experience when you die anyway. Because when you die, your brain protects you. So let that comfort you as you drift off to sleep to our voices tonight. That terror management theory means that when we talk about nostalgic things, it's to stop you thinking about death and the fact that after a few years, we're all going to really forget about you.
Yeah.
So it's bye from me, Chris.
Bye from me.
And bye from me, Goofy.
Bye.
Bye.